Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today, we will be discussing about the kinds of quantitative research. It is very helpful to know the kinds of quantitative research because it will guide you what kind of relationships their variables have. So let's start. Hello everyone, today we will be talking about the kinds of quantitative research. Most of the time, when we say quantitative research, it would be involve experiment or experimental design. However, quantitative research is a broad spectrum that can be classified into smaller and more specific kinds. It could be descriptive, correlational, ex post facto, quasi-experimental, and experimental. So, let us proceed to the definition of an descriptive design. Descriptive design is used to describe a particular phenomenon by observing it as it occurs in nature. The goal of descriptive research is only to describe the person or object of the study. Example: the determination of the different kinds of physical activities and how often high school students do it during the quarantine period. So how can we say that this one is a descriptive design? So, as you can see, it describes or determines the different kinds of physical activities and how often high school students do it during the quarantine period. So you can see that they don't have any kind of relationship, it just want to describe the different kind of activities and how often high school students do it during quarantine period. It doesn't do any cause and effect, any relationship, and doesn't involve any experimental design. So next one, we have the correlational design. Correlational design identifies a relationship between variables. Correlational design is not describing, however, it just identifies the relationship between variables. For example, the relationship between the amount of physical activity done and students' academic achievement. In here, you just want to know that it is not describing what is physical activity. It is not describing what is student academic achievement. It wants to know the relationship between the amount of physical activity and what its relationship between student academic achievement. Again, it is not describing or getting the cause and effect. It is just want to know the relationships between them. The next one is we have ex post facto design. Ex post facto design is used to investigate a possible relationship between previous events and present conditions. It looks at the possible cause of an already occurring phenomenon. So, ex post facto is known or investigate the previous events and present conditions. It looks at the possible causes and already occurring phenomenon. For example, how does the parents' academic achievement affect the children's school participation? So what is the previous event in the example? So we have the parents' academic achievement. These are previous event. Now, we want to know if what is the relationship in between of previous event, which is parents' academic achievement, in our present condition, which is the children's school participation. So you will just know if it's an ex post facto, if it have previous event and present condition. So now we have non-experimental designs of quantitative research. These are descriptive design. Descriptive design describe variables. Correlational design identify the relationship between variables. Ex post facto design investigate the relationships between past events and current events. So that's our non-experimental designs of an quantitative research. So now we will be talking about the experimental design of quantitative research. First, we have quasi-experimental design. A quasi-experimental design is used to establish the cause and effect relationship of variables. Here, the independent variables is identified but not manipulated. The researcher does not modify pre-existing groups of subject. The group exposed to treatment, which is experimental, is compared to the group unexposed to treatment, which is control. Quasi-experimental designs is used to establish a cause and effect relationship, but its different is just they have experimental group and control group. It compares its different if they will apply a treatment in a group. For example, the effects of unemployment on attitude towards following safety protocols in ECQ declared areas. So, here we can see that we have experimental group, which is the ECQ declared areas. These are the groups that given a treatment or exposed treatment, which is the ECQ. So this study wants to compare the effects of unemployment on attitude towards safety protocol areas. So there is experimental and controlled group. So the next one, we have the true experimental design. True experimental design, like quasi-experimental, is used to establish the cause and effect relationships of two or more variables. It doesn't use control group, it uses randomization in selecting its group. The difference between the quasi-experimental and true experimental is experimental doesn't use control group, instead it uses random sampling. For example, a comparison of the various effects blended learning to the reading comprehensions of elementary pupils. This study is best when it is used by or when it's using the experimental design. Why? In order to prevent bias result, because in here we need to compare the effects of various blended learning to the reading comprehension of elementary pupils. You should not choose one group in an elementary pupils. What if I choose those high learning child students? Obviously, they will be higher or better reading comprehensions than those other students. In here, to prevent bias, the selection of elementary pupils should be random so that it will not or it is not biased. That would be all for our discussion for today. So see you next time. God bless.